Hello, and welcome to Monday Madness, the show where we take unorthodox strategies and we make them as successful as possible. This week we're taking a look at the mass skirmisher strategy. And well, when I say strategy, I more mean challenge, as I can't recommend this strategy unless you're just looking to have some fun. I don't recommend this strategy because it is incredibly difficult to make work, since skirms are just absolute rubbish at fighting anything that isn't archers or spears. In Age of Empires 2, units at minimum have to deal 1 damage, so the idea is to get so many skirmishers that you can essentially 1 or 2 shot units before they annihilate your entire force. Yes, it's death by 1,000 paper cuts. It was the Lord himself, Daut, that was the main inspiration for this video. There is a classic game where he uses this strategy, which is one of my all-time favorites, and is a must-watch for anyone that's interested in wacky strategies. I posted a link to a video of T90 casting this game, and I highly recommend you go watch that video once you're done with this episode. I hope you're ready for some complete nonsense, so let's get into some games. In the first game, I am, just like the Lord was, playing as the Byzantines. If you're going to make a lot of skirmishers, it does make sense to get them cheaper, right? But of course, if you fancy, you could also try your luck with, let's say, Lithuanians, Vietnamese, or even Aztecs or Incas, who also get bonuses or technologies for their skirmishers. An important aspect of this strategy is that you absolutely have to wall your base. You will have no defense against early aggression, and once you have finally built up a force large enough to do anything, all of your units have to be in the same place in order to be effective. Or I don't mean effective, I mean capable of doing anything. Essentially, you can't spread out your units too much, and you can't attack and defend at the same time. And you really want to be attacking here, before your population inefficiency becomes a real issue. Now back to our game. My opponent is playing as the Celts, and the Celts might not be the prettiest matchup here. Faster infantry and exceptional siege is not what skirms are good against. But even so, his men-at-arms push is easily scared off by the massive horde of skirmishers, but I am really happy that I decided to wall here. Outside of the walls he decides to go for the fight, and who can blame him? I mean, they're just skirmishers, right? Men-at-arms, Celtic men-at-arms at that, are supposed to be decent against skirms. But no, the men-at-arms get cleaned up with ease. I push on towards his base, and I find that he's been nice enough to leave a hole in this wall right by the gate, and I manage to push him off his wood line, and his army is no match for my 20 or so skirmishers, even before they get fletching. In the confusion of the fight, he manages to plug the hole in his walls, but when you have this many guys throwing sticks at your walls, they go down rather fast. I'm through the wall once again, and I'm trying to look for more places to harass, and my opponent tries to seize the opportunity to wheel the wall again, but my reinforcements come in constantly and his attempts fail horribly. Now at 40 or so skirmishers all over his economy, my opponent decides that he wants nothing more of this madness and he quickly taps out. And we end the game with a positive KD. I wonder if that's going to happen in any of the other games this episode. In the second game, we're sticking with the Byzantines, but this time it's a mirror matchup, which also isn't good, but you know, I don't really think there are any favorable matchups with this strategy. There's absolutely nothing interesting going on in the first half of the game. My enemy is just going for a straight up FC, and he's really respecting the skirmisher threat, or rather the skirmisher menace, quite a lot here, because he spends an enormous amount of resources in reinforcing his walls. Hilariously enough, he puts down 5 markets just to keep me out, but yeah, I guess it does buy him the time to get out some knights. Once I'm finally through the walls, I found a TC, 3 knights and a workshop on top of a hill, which is of course not a very pretty sight. But at this point I have 40 skirmishers and reinforcements are coming in constantly. I managed to kill the knights, and I idle almost his whole economy. Skirmishers have such a high pierce armor that they can just casually sit and chill under the TC whilst fighting the knights, and kill any villagers that can't fit in the safety of the town center. I tried to be completely overwhelming and idle his whole economy, but doing so I also spread my numbers too thin, and I lose too much HP from actually sitting and chilling under the town center. After killing 15 or so villagers and around about the same number of knights, I've lost a few too many skirmishers, and I can't replenish my numbers fast enough to have an impact in the rest of the game. I'm forced to play defensively and I try to get my numbers back up, but I'm eventually overwhelmed by a force of knights and siege, which is not an optimal unit composition to be fighting if you're going full skirms. Game number 3 is between Byzantines and Saracens, and I'm expecting scouts, but once again our opponent is just going straight FC. And much like the first game, our opponent is nice enough to leave a gap in the wall for me. His army is no match for me, and I even managed to kill a few villagers and push him off the gold. But before I have time to celebrate, he's up to Castle Age and he's producing mangonels. Now mangonels isn't the best unit to be fighting if you're going full skirm, but they only have 40 HP, and if you have 20 or so skirmishers, you could in theory 2-shot the mangonel, which isn't half bad. I killed 2 mangonels and a scorpion, and I tried to deny his town center and killing a few villagers in the process, but the damage output of the skirmishers and the reinforcing siege is a bit too much for the skirms to stop the TC from going up. Before he can secure his base, however, I've killed 6 mangonels, a scorpion and a handful of villagers, but now I am completely unable to deal damage to him. I'll have to go Castle Age and add seats myself. Now with a force of 100 skirmishers I easily fend off the first wave of knights, but lazily enough I've left too many gaps in my own walls and his second wave is devastating to my economy. Once I finally have some siege myself, I'm once again fighting way too many knights and mangonels, and let's just say after this fight my kill death rate here is not looking as pretty as it did the first game. Once I lose my army, I see no reason to prolong the inevitable. Game number 4 is sent to us by the hero of last episode, Lael. Lael is also playing as the Byzantines, but he is playing on Golden Pit instead of Arabia, which makes so much more sense it's almost considered cheating. But I guess I didn't actually specify the rules other than only skirms and siege is allowed, good luck have fun, so I guess I have to suit myself. The reason this strategy makes a bit more sense than on normal Arabia is because on Golden Pit you of course start with much less gold, which forces you into trash a lot sooner, and then you don't want to go up against one of the best trash civs. The game progresses like most Golden Pit games do, with both players going for a fast-ish Castle Age with minimal army support, and Lael goes first out and secures the center of the map. It's a very peaceful affair until both players reach Imp and the trebs start rolling. However, with access to the most gold and bombard cannons, Lael is unlikely to lose control of said gold, whilst the blue players only has so much in his reserve. Blue has also spent way too much gold on Woad Raiders and their elite upgrade that he can't really afford to make this siege in order to compete for the center anymore. Woad Raiders are however excellent against skirmishers and bombard cannons, and before going down he makes it very costly for our hero in red. Being low on gold, Blue then decides to change his approach and go for Hussars instead, who are also a great unit against skirmishers. Lael pushes up the hill supported by bombard cannons, but he doesn't expect the 30 or so Hussars waiting for him, and at the same time he's getting attacked by the remaining force of Woad Raiders at home. Lael is being raided in his base, he's almost losing control of the center, but he manages to hold on, and eventually Blue runs out of gas, and I think he fears that he can't do enough damage and he can't get enough gold to retake the center, so he resigns. Although I almost considered this to be cheating to the challenge, even though he didn't actually break any rules, I thank you for your contribution, Lael. Okay, so the reason why I love to watch and why I continuously ask for the viewers' own games is because sometimes we're provided with truly mad plays from truly mad people. Plays that hadn't even crossed my mind. Please welcome to the stage, Mad Lad Bricks. Bricks is playing in a 4v4 on Nomad. Now right off the bat I want to say, when I usually play these unorthodox strategies, I usually play 1v1s, because I have a hard time seeing that my team would accept my unorthodox strategy. But Bricks, Bricks is thinking, how can the teammates be used in order to make this strategy even stronger? Bricks is essentially the mad scientist, trying to make the chunkiest skirm in the game. Have a quick think and try to figure out what the strongest skirmisher would be. The answer is the Atlatl Imperial Skirmisher. Just look at these stats. 9 attack, 7 pierce armor, and 9 range. I'm not even going to cast this game because there's just too much going on in the 4v4 anyway. Let's just make this into an Atlatl Imperial Skirm killing spree montage instead. Alright, I think that's enough of that. Let's just summarize by saying that the Atlatl Imperial Skirmisher is an excellent support unit, but in the end it was the team effort that made the win for Bricks' team. I very much enjoyed watching Bricks' Beastie Boys, but I think I would hate it if my teammate suddenly decided to say, I'm not going to make anything except for skirmishers this game. I thank you very much for your contribution, Bricks. Bricks also sent in a number of other games that were just as mad, one with Vietnamese skirms versus Ethiopian siege onagers with torch engines comes to mind. That one was just as mad, if not more than this one, but alas we can only cover so much. But thank you for your contribution, Bricks. Now, to summarize the mass skirm strategy. Actually, I think we can skip it this week. Don't try this unless you only want to have fun. It's a bad strategy.